Howdy folks, Doc here with Last Best Tool. What should we look at today? How about these Titan Gearless Ratchets? These are two small ratchets, micro-sized, and that's kind of why I chose them. I also chose them for another reason, and that is there is no switch to go to right and left. You literally have to flip the ratchet over. Now that of course can be an issue if you're trying to get something, in a small area, and then you need to reverse it and back it out. Well, you can't. You have to completely pop the socket off of the fastener and then reverse it and put it back on just to turn it a little bit the other way, whereas with a conventional design like this snap-on here, you could be in and then you could reverse it just like that. So it's a whole different thing. We're going to compare those. Anyway, this is a gearless ratchet. It uses kind of a unique clutch. I guess a spread clutch is how it's described. But it also, I think this one's going to be a little bit stronger than the ones that have reversible mechanisms that basically have to double everything inside. They have to be able to run one direction or another. And I've heard a lot of those either under load, or if they get a little bit dirty, they start to either lose their direction. That means they can go either direction, or not stay in one direction, or they just lock up. These are silky smooth. This is the 3/8 size. Here's the 1/4 inch. Near silent. We're going to talk about that in a sec. But if you look at this, if I let this spin, that's pretty amazing. So I'm going to slowly rotate my hand here, slowly till gravity gets a hold of it, and you can see it goes almost 3/4 of the way around. Let's try this guy here. I'll go. Look at that. That's a lot. Try it with your own ratchets. Compare that to this snap-on. Similar size. Both 3/8 drive. Little teeny weeny snap-on guy here. Try that. So I'm going to go up to the top, slowly rotate till gravity grabs it. It's also showing you how stiff this is. Whoops, and how long it is, I guess. Let's try that again. That's as far as that one goes. What about this little tiny snap-on? This is my comparable here to the little Titan. Kind of nice and noisy. Not enough mass to overcome the... Look at that. So, what about this way? Now, of course, that can also be a problem when you're trying to turn a fastener. And if the fastener is fairly loose, low friction, and you put a socket on it and try to turn it, but if there's enough resistance in the mechanism, it might just spin back and forth. And then you've got to reach in and try to do something where you're holding the socket and trying to turn it, something like that. It's not the end of the world, but something that you really notice when you put a socket on. Oops, I have to hold that button in. When you put a socket on something like this, I mean, it's just pretty amazing. Very quiet. That also means you can't hear if you're moving it forward or if it's clicking or what's going on. I haven't noticed that as a big problem, but I guess I haven't used it enough in order for that to, to surface, because that does seem to be one of the things that people are complaining about with the gearless system, is they can't hear it. There's a little bit of play here. These aren't the world's greatest. They're the Titan. This is the 2-pack here. They're the 2-piece, 1/4 3/8, and they're 1/4 and 3/8 in the micro ratchet, the little ratchet. There's the part number. It's the 18202. I'll put a link down below. I'm not sure what's going to be available on Amazon, but there are all kinds of gearless ratchets available. This one's marked L on one side, R on the other, for whether or not you're turning it to the right or to the left. And this says right here, so I am turning it to the right. So even though this side has the R, that's the direction that it's going, so it telling you which side to put the socket on. But anyway, pretty amazing little things. I don't know how they're going to hold up. We'll see. When I got this and pulled the 3/8 out, the 3/8 was really stiff, so I played around. Now it's silky smooth, but I wonder from the factory if something was going on in there. They do have some specialty purposes, the gearless ratchets, mainly in really confined spaces where you're literally trying to, if I can show you doing it this way, you just have almost no room to move the ratchet, and if that's the case, you probably can't generate a ton of leverage on it either, because there just isn't the room, and you're not putting a big lever arm on it, pipe or something. So that's more their specialty. They are generally a larger head design than a comparable standard geared ratchet. It's even calling it a ratchet. It's a more of a clutch mechanism. But overall, an interesting tool to play around with. If you've got experience, share it. And if you've got one of the many versions of this that are all over the place, that generally have a switch or most likely it's a turning mechanism like on these round heads that switches back and forth. But it's a kind of a unique tool. It's lasted. This idea has been around for quite a while. It seems to be gaining a little bit of popularity. Maybe the material is finally affordable or hard enough, or whatever the limitation was. However, there's probably good access in here for dirt and grime and liquids, fluids, etc. And I assume once that happens, this is probably going to be DOA, because the mechanism is fairly sensitive. The little bearings inside there that form the clutch mechanism. But anyway, thought you might find those interesting. That's what they look like, compared to my snap-on versions. With that, Doc out.